Morning guys, all the way from Australia. We've finally landed in Western Australia. If you're new here, we've recently moved back from Canada. So we were originally from Australia. My partner's actually originally from Ireland. Then we moved from Ireland. He moved from Ireland to Australia, met me. Then we had children, 2 kids, Tilly and Riley. And then in 2021 we moved from Australia to Canada for 2.5 years, and we've just no. I'm gonna have to introduce you to this little puppy because she's not gonna sit still long. We've just moved back to Western Australia to my dad's farm. So we were originally farming on our own little property before we moved to Canada, and then we've come back and we're living here on the farm. But I thought I would introduce to you at the very beginning of this video, because I know she won't sit long, our new little pup. She's a red and tan Kelpie. Sit still, little miss. Red and tan Kelpie. She's a female, and yeah, she's only 8 weeks old, so I don't know if you can see her very well. It's a little bit shadowy, but she is absolutely beautiful. She's just woken up from a nap. And we're not sure what to call her. We've got a short list of names. They all start with M for some reason. No meaning behind it, just they all start with M. And yeah, we were hoping you guys can help us figure out a name for her. So if you can put them in the comments, that'll be fantastic. Or you can message me on Instagram. I bought her as a... I bought her with the intention to train her up as a stock dog. She's my first dog I'm training up as a stock dog. We've had lots of working dogs in the past, the breeds, Kelpies and Border Collies, but never actually trained them up properly to work on sheep or cattle. So she's going to be my first pup, but she will also be a pet as well, family pet. Part of the family. What are you doing? So she will come in to sleep in the house, in her crate. We have been crate training, which I'll explain to you very soon. Little miss, maybe I'll pop you down here. Do you want to go down? So, little story behind this little pup. I purchased her when we were still in Canada online. I found a breeder in New South Wales. She will be fully registered once we've got a name for her. Her parents are fully registered, obviously, and she's registered through Lone Pine Stud Working Dogs, I think that's what it's called. I'll put it up on the screen. They've been fantastic to work with, and her dad's name, or her registered name, I've forgotten now, and it's too far to walk back to the house. I'll pop it up on the screen, her registered parents, in case you're ever interested in getting one of her relatives one day. I know her dad's name's Rooster and her mum's name's Valor, so that may help with you guys naming her. But yeah, I think I've got a name for her, but I want to see what other people come up with. Plus, if I mention the name on here, sometimes people will deter you from that name. Like Connor's already done that, named a few people that he doesn't like with that name. So it's like when you're a teacher and you teach us all these kids with all these different names, and then you get deterred off when you have your own kids because you know what that little rat bag kid was like. Yeah, I plan on training her up on sheep, so I'm going to be getting some dogged sheep, meaning sheep that are used to dogs, so they won't be wild or crazy or skittish, because that can break the confidence in your pup. And she won't be doing any of this for a while. She's only 8 weeks old, so she's been on a lead. I take her out on a lead in the mornings for a wee, and she's crate trained. Crate training, oh, don't go on the tripod, oops, sorry guys. Crate training means something different for everyone. Sometimes crate training gets a bad rap because you see, I remember watching Teen Mum and Janelle in Teen Mum leaving her dogs in there all day in this tiny crate and 2 dogs in there. So we're using crate training sort of as you would with a baby, except I didn't have the heart to do it with a baby because I would never let my child cry out. I just couldn't do it. Not dissing anyone that does. Basically, we're seeing the crate as a cot. So this little miss goes in every 2 hours for a little nap, and she happily goes in. She doesn't cry or anything. The first night she did start crying because it was the first night away from her mama. I forgot to mention, so she flew on an aeroplane. We picked her up the other night at 10:30 at night from the airport. We got home about 12:30 at night, and it was the first time being away from her brothers and sisters and her mama. So she was missing that side of things. So I went and got Riley, my son's heart monitor, little light machine thing, and put it next to her bed so she could hear or next to the crate, so she could hear the heart monitor. She also has a big, beautiful rug. I'll put a little clip over showing you her crate. Okay, so this is a tour of our puppy's crate. She has only the best blanket on, one of our Out West ones from our shop. It's not focusing, there you go. Just to keep her a little warmer. We also have a heater up there, which is on all night, because our bedroom is right there. So we have our door wide open so we can see her and she can see us. She's got her food in the back there. He is inside out. She's got a bed. This was our dog Wolf's. If you're an original follower, you know who Wolf was. That was his ducky that he loves, and she loves it too. She has always got a chew toy in here because her teeth are, well, she's teething, I should say. It is late here and I'm ready for bed. Originally I was using this. It was my kid's heart monitor sounding, if you can hear it. So my kids used to go to sleep listening to that when they were babies, because she was very upset the first few nights. She flew in from Sydney to Perth and was the first night without her mama and her brothers, sisters. So we bought our puppy this. It's from Kmart. I'm sure I've mentioned it already, but you open up the back, it's got Velcro, and the tummy vibrates as if it was the heartbeat of its mama. And yeah, she slept through the night last night, and we had to wake her up 3 times to take her out to the toilet, and she would barely budge. Like, we had to carry her out because, well, puppies at 8 weeks of age can only hold their bladder for 2 to 3 hours. So we have not had any accidents in the crate so far. She's done very, very well. She's fitting into our family extremely easily. And we just love her to death. Cutest little pup ever. I should mention, she's not locked in here all day or anything. This door's wide open all day. But when she's ready for a nap, usually 2 hours after she's been awake, she gets put in here. She normally pops herself off to bed, actually. She comes through the door in here and pops herself off to bed, and we just shut the door. And the biggest thing you need to do with crate training is to make sure they don't see this as a punishment. It's always a happy place. All positive stuff happens in there. What are you doing? You're landing in your food bowl. And as she gets older, this will be increased. That we'll sell this one or give it to Tilly's kitten if we need to. But yeah, we'll get a bigger one. But it's never, ever, ever to keep her in here permanently. We will be buying a outdoor, off the ground big crate for whenever we go to the shops or whatever and can't take her, then she'll sit out there when she's bigger. But for now, while she's a little pup, she gets this beautiful little place that she sees as a safe zone. And the way I think of it is, it's like a baby with a cot. She's just going into a cot to go to bed. And if she wants to relax and get away from the kids, she can pop herself on in here. And the only time it's ever locked is when she's sleeping. And I never let her out when she's whining. She has to be sitting nicely, and then she gets let out. And she loves it so far, don't you? Hey? I know you just got the kids off to sleep, but I have just taught her her first trick. Do you want to see?
Yeah.
Right, hold these. All right. Puppy. Come here. Sit. Good girl. She clever? Who's the cleverest pup in the whole world? You want to come up here so everyone can see you? She's a real little adventurer. She's very confident, but in a good way. This is what I wanted. I chose a confident one from the litter. I said, don't want too timid. I want something that's a little confident, so when she's around the stock. Yes, you're so licky. I'm going to have to put you down. And man, she's teething. Go down. There you go. You're all tangled up. I might go and pop her off to into the house with Connor because she's a little bit of a wiggle worm, aren't you? And yeah, give you guys a bit of an update on what we've been doing and what we're about to do. Come here, honey. They want to see you. Oh, well, she had a stick in her mouth. Say bye. Alright, I'll be back in a sec. Alright guys, I look like an absolute mess. That little monkey over there, she got me all dirty. These were all washed jeans and I'm covered in mud, but that's alright. Yeah, thought I would update you on, sorry, someone's fencing on the property, so that's why you guys can hear that. Yeah, I thought I'd update you guys on what we've been doing. Right now I am sitting just to the right of where my dad is, just over here, where my dad is putting a new little house for himself. So we're currently on my dad's farm. It's got a main house and a cottage. The cottage is heritage listed. It's very old. Think like back watching McLeod's Daughters with the stone brick. I will do a tour of that later. But yeah, so Dad, he works away on the mine 6 months of the year, and he has generously offered us the cottage. And I sent him a link of, he was going to build like a sea container house next to ours, but I found this sort of transportable home that expands out, like it comes from overseas and then it rocks up on your property and then you expand it out and set it up. So I will keep you guys updated on that. Yes, I feel guilty, my dad giving us the cottage, and he can always sleep in the spare room if he wanted to, but he's adamant that we take it. He wants us to, and that's very generous of him. We actually used to live in the cottage back in 2015. I actually found this property and sent the link to my dad as a bit of a joke, like, look, you should buy this. And he asked me to go and have a look at the open house for the farm, and Connor and I went and looked. This is before we had any kids, and yeah, I sent billions of pictures and videos to my dad, and I thought he was still just, you know, wasting the real estate agent's time. I didn't think he was actually serious. And yeah, he bought it without actually looking at the property himself because he was working away. So yeah, we then moved in to the cottage in 2015, and at the time I was pregnant with Tilly, and my dad was living in the main house. Now he's got someone living in the main house as tenants. They pay rent, and then we're obviously in the cottage, and then Dad's building his little house here. It's a really, really beautiful property. We've got a creek that runs back through here. We've got a small dam area that my dad calls the Billabong. We've got a windmill back here with a dam that's completely empty. It pretty much leaks. We need to get onto that. And at the moment my dad's got some mates that have got their cattle and sheep on the property, so they're taking them off before December, I think September, October time, and that's when Connor and I will let the paddocks have a bit of a rest, let them build up the grass again. And I mean, summer's a bit crappy for that, and then when we're ready we'll put our own stock on here. We're 100% getting sheep, going all in with that. That's something I'm able to do myself. Cattle is a little harder when it's just yourself with the kids. I find they're a little bit more dangerous. Not all cattle obviously, but just to start off, we're getting sheep again, and I can train my little pup on them. I know I look like I'm hunched down in here, but I can't see the frame. I've got the little selfie thing on the side of the camera, but because of the light I can't see where I am, so I'm hoping I'm in the frame. Otherwise you'll just get a very big close-up of my face or something. We do have a round yard, a huge one that we made back in 2015. And we did have our horses here years ago. Obviously we sold those when we went to Canada, but we do plan on getting horses again, but they're not a necessity at the moment. First priority is we got the dog. Tilly really wants a kitten. I'm allergic to kittens, but we're going to get one, and then get the stock, so the sheep and the cattle, get that sorted, and then probably 6 months to a year from now I get horses again. But it's nice knowing we've got it all set up and ready to go, all the yards and everything. I had to resort back to my notes because I'm not sure what I'm saying anymore. You may have noticed a change in name on the YouTube channel, as well as the banner and the picture, and that's nothing's happened between Connor and I. We haven't split up or anything. It used to be Beck and Connor, and now it's Beck Out West, and that's purely because Well, it was always going to change to just my channel. The Beck and Connor was just for when we moved to Canada, and so we could explain all that to everyone. But there was always a time when Connor would be working, or he's always worked full time, but I would be working at getting the farm up and running, our own, either a ranch in Canada or it was a farm in Australia up and running, and I would be running that myself. I mean, Connor would help, but that would be my main job. So obviously he's not going to be on YouTube all that often. He will be from time to time, but this channel will be focusing more on farming, horses, sheep, cattle, country life, camping, rodeos, horses. I don't know if I said horses already. Just all that jazz. Whereas before it was about traveling and moving to Canada. So yeah, that's the reason for the name change. Obviously with the name change, Beck Out West, it ties in with our Western store, our country store out west. In Canada, the domain for that was Out West Rancher. That was because we lived around ranches, whereas in Canada we don't call them ranches, we call them farms, or a huge ranch is called a station. So I have changed the name of our company from Out West Rancher to Out West Country. So the domain I'll put up on the screen, I think it's www.outwestcountryau.com.au or something like that. I'll put it up, I've forgotten. No, I think it's just outwestcountry.com.au. I haven't got the shop up and running yet. It's just, I need to order some more stock. You guys did such a nice job at simpling our packing, moving from Canada to Australia with our big, huge 40% off sale, that I don't have a lot of stock in anymore. And I really want to thank you guys for doing that, because I'm just about to jump on to how much luggage we took home to Australia with us. And because you guys purchased so much from our shop beforehand, it limited the amount we had to take back. So a little debrief of what went on in the last 24 hours of us moving back to Australia. So we were still in our house in Cochrane. The smart thing probably would have been to finish up in the rental and spend the last 24 hours in a hotel room near the airport, but we just couldn't see the sense in spending that money. So we already had paid for the full month of that rental. So we stayed there in Cochrane on our 20-acre rental. And that day we had sold everything. Everything that wasn't sold, that wasn't worth giving to anyone, went into the neighbour's horse trailer. That was the night before. Then we slept on our mattresses. I found a buy and sell bidding page in Cochrane and put up our mattresses. They sold very cheap. $20 for the kids ones, the double or queen size, and $50 for the big king one that cost us $1,500. But at least we got something for them, because otherwise the other option was donating it or sending it to the dump, because we were in a time restriction. We needed to clean the house and everything and fly out that day, and we needed mattresses till the last minute. So someone picked them up that morning. We then threw everything that we didn't need in the horse trailer. Connor took that to the dump that morning. Our flight was at 8 p.m. that night. Then we cleaned, mopped, vacuumed the whole house, wiped everything down, got rid of all the food that was in there, and you know, the whole shebang, cleaned it all out, much like you do when you move to a new house, but you have to get rid of everything because you're moving to a new country or back to your old country. And we then made sure, well, the night before we packed all our luggage bags but kept a few unzipped so we could put in our toothbrushes, makeup, all that stuff. I'm just thinking, I have no idea what my makeup looks right now, because I'm covered in dog mud. Yeah, and then we got it all done. Connor went to the bank that day as well, closed our bank accounts. He rang the credit card companies and closed one of the credit cards, but we needed one open because we knew we had to pay for the extra luggage at the airport with a credit card, and that's the only one we had. And we didn't have any Australian bank cards. I'm sure I'm missing something out, but I just remember the last 20 minutes before we were going, like the car's packed and we've got like one suitcase left, and Connor wanted to jump in the shower, and he was a numpty, and he left the hose on outside, which is a big no-no because then the tank drains. And he went to go and have a shower, and he'd drained the bloody water tank. Never done this before, and the last 20 minutes he's like covered in sweat, been to the dump, like he wanted a shower before we got on this huge long flight. And yeah, he had to fill up a water bottle. Like we had a water bottle, a water jug, and he filled up the bath with like this much water, and he laid in, and he was freezing. I just remember the screams. I was laughing so much. And that was his bath, unfortunately. We got everything in the car, headed off. My phone credit, I'm old school and I pay for phone credit on my phone. I do it here too. I don't like signing up to plans. Same with credit cards. Like the credit cards we only ever had was in Canada, and I'll never get one in Australia. Like they're done. We just use our debit card or cash. I don't like owing people stuff unless it's a mortgage or something. And then I just remember we were going to the airport and my phone credit had run out on my phone, and we didn't have GPS to get to the airport. So we were just trying to find signs the whole way. I didn't want to pay an extra $35 for phone credit just to get to the airport. And Connor had sent his phone back to his work because it was a work phone, and obviously quit and we were leaving. So it was chaos. And we got to the airport. We had to line up for ages. The kids were exhausted. We before all that, we had to give the rental truck, because we'd sold our truck, to someone. They had to meet us at the airport. Then we had 14 checked luggage bags and 7 carry-on. And the checked luggage bags were between 23 kilos and 32 kilos. They were huge. It was just Connor and I. We'd dump them out onto the side of the road where, you dump your bags off to get out of the car, the drop-off area. And we had to get trolleys, and we had 4. So we had 2 each, and the kids were carrying a big suitcase each. And Riley's only 4 until he's 8 or 7. And we're trying to keep us all together. I kept worrying about kids getting kidnapped in an airport, and oh my god, once we checked all those in, it was a big relief because we only had our carry-on from there on. And it cost us about $1,200 to take everything home for the checked luggage. So it wasn't too bad. It was $150 a luggage bag roughly. And we got 4 for free because it was part of the flight home. We flew from Alberta, Calgary airport to Vancouver in BC. We had a 2-hour stopover, and then we flew 15 and a half, I think it was, hours to Sydney. The kids did fantastic. They slept a lot of the time, which was just unbelievable. And then when we landed in Sydney, it felt like, whew, we're home. Like, thank God, now it's only, we've got to get from Sydney to Perth. And people on the plane were saying how well the kids were. They were pretty much congratulating me on being such an amazing mother. No, they were though. They were saying like how good the kids were, and I was very proud of them. They were fantastic. Not one tantrum, not one cry, no screaming, nothing. They were just excellent little kids. Well-travelled children, I think. We then had to fly from Sydney to Perth, which is about roughly 5 or 5.5 hours. And we had 2 hours to get from the international airport to the domestic section with all of our luggage. Like, we had to pick up our luggage, the 4 trolleys, and take them all with the kids and rush through the airport. And it's just really sad at how terrible people are now. No one offers to help you, or I mean, I had older ladies like in their 70s offering to help me, but grown-ass men that are in their 20s, 30s just look at me or make comments like, oh, it's a bit tough, isn't it? Like, I know expecting people to take me all the way to my area, but there was just no help. Like, trying to get around a corner and you're stuck, and you've got 2 trolleys, you've got 2 kids, and it's really busy. And like I said, I was always worried someone would kidnap the kids or they'd get lost. Yeah, that was just absolute chaos. But we made it, and my sister and my dad and my brother-in-law and my 2 nieces were waiting for us at Perth Airport holding signs. They'd made signs with glitter, and if I can find the pictures, I'll put them up. And my sister was crying because she's a big sook, and because she was happy to see me, not because she was miserable I landed. And it's just been really, really nice being with family again. And we had my sister up. She had a sleepover the other night with the girls, and her girls with my 2. And it was just really nice to finally be able to do things we've wanted to do for so long together with the kids when they're a little older. I mean, I haven't seen my nieces for 3 years, so because it would be 3 years, so it's just really, really nice to be home. There's no regrets of leaving Canada. It was a beautiful experience. I was very worried that I would regret it, come home and think, what the hell have we done? Why did we move back? But there is not 1% of that for me. I just feel very grateful that we did it. I got it out my system, and I would have always wondered what if we hadn't have gone. And yeah, we just know that we can make a go of it here. We got Dad's place. It's an amazing setup for us. It's going to really set us up, and the plan is to farm sheep and a few head of cattle on here, and then eventually lease additional land, or adjust, whatever you want to call it, additional land in surrounding areas, and farm on those too, until we can eventually set up a big empire and have our big farm all in one spot, hopefully, or in the same areas anyway, and get our own house. But for now, the cottage does well, and we'll probably stay here for a couple of years. And yeah, let me know what you want to see on my channel, guys, and I'll make videos of it. We are setting up a chicken coop in the next week or so, so I will share some of that as well. And let me know what we should call our adorable pup. I think I have a name sorted, but I'd like to hear your guys' suggestions. I really like Aussie names like Banjo or Aussie or something like that. Not those names though, because they sound too boyish. And I don't really like real girly names. I know it sounds silly, but like my last border collie, she was a female and her name was Harley. I loved that name. So something like that. A few people have suggested Millie, but it sounds too much like Tilly, our daughter. So yeah, let me know, and make sure you share our videos on your Facebook and Instagram and stuff, because I go to a lot of effort to make these videos, and sometimes they don't reach the people I want them to. So yeah, like usual guys, like, follow and subscribe, and I'll see you in our next video. Bye!